What is up, guys? Welcome back to, what are we on again?
Roof Talk.
Yeah, welcome back to Roof Talk. My name's Anthony, and this is my co-host, Grant. Today we have a very, very special guest, somebody I've known for quite a while. It's been
a long time.
Yeah, it's been some
Since
years.
college.
Yeah, and I've been following, we've been following kind of each other's journey for a while, but this is my boy, Steven Schott. He's with XP Realty now, and he has some other stuff going on. So we're going to dive into some business stuff today with you, Steven. And then we're going to look into the future a little bit. So it's not all going to be just business today, which I kind of like. It's kind of a little switch of pace from what we've been doing.
I've watched your last couple of episodes. I think I might be a little different than some of them, just as where my mindset's at now in my life.
And I like that.
We're all for it. Yeah.
Because we're all like, and you've been in the position that we're kind of in too, to where it's like all business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now you're doing a little bit different stuff. So it's I'm excited to kind of get a different take, even just for myself personally, because I've always been like goal oriented and like I got to do this, I got to work hard.
It's that hustle culture, that's a good tool to use for certain seasons of your life, but different seasons for different reasons. What I say. All the time.
I like that.
So Steven, we're going to get to know you a little bit. You've been in the real estate business for over a decade. Take us back to when it all started. How'd you get into real estate at such a young age and start buying investment properties?
Oh my gosh, I was an idiot when I started.
Felt that.
And it all happened by accident, if I'm being honest. God has a plan, and I was just, part of that. When I was 18, graduated high school, I had some money saved up. I also had some money from an insurance settlement from a car accident I was in, but I had like 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
And I worked at McDonald's and Diebold Orchard, saved up enough money.
Bro, I work at Diebold.
We crossed paths multiple times, I'm sure.
Let's go.
And we found a house. This was in 2011. I bought my first home and found a house. They were asking like 40 grand for it. I offered them 20 cash and they took it. And it was a dump. Like, it was bad.
Yeah.
But my dad, I grew up helping him work on homes all the time. Since I was like 5 years old, I was his gopher. It was go for this, go for that. Truck. And bought that house for $20,000. Over the course of about 2 years, I stuck another 20 grand into it out of my pocket. Renovated it into a duplex. And then lived in the upstairs, rented out the basement, financed it. It appraised for 80 grand. Yeah. I financed it for 60, paid myself back my 40. Essentially, it was just like a savings account for me almost. And then I made 20 grand on top of it. But I had 60 grand. It paid for all of my college. And then I rented out the basement to friends and my fraternity brothers for about $600 a month. My mortgage at that time on 60 grand with my taxes and insurance and with utilities to live in that house was about $600 a month. So I lived there for free all through college.
Dang. That's awesome.
And then when I moved out, this was when it really hit me. I moved out about 2 or 3 years later. I was a junior in college, and I bought another house. And I started renting that house for $1,100 a month, and they were taking care of all their own utilities. And I was like, oh, you can really make some money doing this. Like, holy cow, my mortgage was $450 a month, right? Sheesh. And I was making $1,100 a month gross on it. Well, I became really good friends with a guy named Joe Azzaro here in town. He owns Athena Property Group. He has about 400 doors. He's been very influential in this town, but he became a mentor of mine. He's become a good friend of mine over the last decade or so. And when I first got that duplex, situated, he was like, just rent out the basement. And I go, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, well, here's a lease. Here's how you do it. I was like, cool. Yeah. And then it just started from there. I made a lot of mistakes. I probably could have made way more money if I really knew what I was doing. But Joe helped me out with my future investments. I learned from those mistakes, and now I take those mistakes and help other people not make the same ones, So
that's awesome.
But yeah, that's how I got started in real estate. I eventually ended up getting my real estate license because I saw how much money my realtor was making on all my sales. And I was like, why am I not making this money? Yeah. And I took all the knowledge from my real estate investing career and applied it to my niche in real estate. What I found in all the cities that I've traveled to across the United States, there is a niche that is never filled with realtors. And that is, you have plenty of realtors that will sell residential homes, buyers and sellers that are living in their personal home. And then you have commercial realtors like investment guys that are selling large multifamily complexes, but there's nobody that positions themselves in a place in which they can help new investors who can't afford a 140-unit apartment complex, which we can talk about that.
Everybody's always going after the big deal.
Yeah.
And you get guys like Grant Cardone and them, they're pushing those, like, start with 32 units and stuff like that.
Exactly what I said.
Which, if you're in a position to do that, great. But a lot of people out there, I feel like they're not in a position to
They have a lot of
start at
capital.
32 units. I mean,
Yeah.
like, hey, you got a couple $1,000,000 laying around.
Well, and we can talk a little bit more about that too. It's actually easier to buy something that is 32 units or 150 units.
Yeah.
It's easier to buy that to get approved for the financing on that because it's based on that property's income than it is on you being the personal guarantor.
Yeah.
But for most people to get started, there's nobody to fill that niche to guide them into buying a couple single family homes or small multifamilies. And that's the niche that I filled here, and that created my whole business. I mean, 80% of my business over the last 5 years as a realtor has been word of mouth, people coming to me. So
Yeah. No, that's
yeah.
awesome. So not like a lot of marketing, more word of mouth stuff. So that's good.
Yeah, knitting circles and word of mouth, that's kind
Yeah.
of small town vibe, yeah.
Yeah, so you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but most people in the real estate space think you need a ton of money to get started. So obviously you've already kind of leaned into a couple scenarios where that's not necessarily the case. So what are some of the methods that people can use if they're wanting to get into real estate, especially if they're early on? They don't have a lot of capital for themselves, maybe. They have a job, whatever their scenario may be. They're wanting to get started. What are some of the creative financing, or maybe not even financing? What are some of the creative ways that someone can get started in real estate?
The way that I got started essentially was I had enough cash to buy something up front, put my own sweat equity into it, and then draw the equity out and then continue to recycle those dollars. That's what we say. We recycle the money when we borrow our money back from the bank that we put into the property. I also grew more substantially by partnering with somebody that had more financial resources than me.
Yeah.
So Min Bong Tran, good fraternity friend of mine, him and I ended up developing a portfolio worth over $850,000. We had maybe $450,000 of debt on it. We sold it all and we split, $400,000 or so. That was one of the biggest checks I ever cashed.
That's not too
still
bad.
today.
That ain't bad. How old? 32? 33?
I'm 32 now.
Yeah.
That was when I was 25. Yeah, we sold that. Yep.
Not bad.
And then that sparked my ability to do what I do now. But partner with somebody. Bring them the resources, bring them the sweat, bring them the skills, the feet on the ground stuff, and find a friend or a family member and sell yourself to them so that you can go ahead and partner on properties. But if it is just you, there's 4 ways that you can get into properties with either no money down or low money down. Yeah. Now, some of these things require you need a good credit score. You probably already need a stable income that a bank's going to lend you money because when you're buying residential homes, when you're buying small multifamily, you're still the personal guarantor on the loan. So the bank is still going to look at your income and see if you can handle the debt.
In the event like your tenants aren't paying or something, right?
Right, yeah, or if it's vacant or something. So the first thing is the BRRRR method. That's what me and Bong did. We bought our first house together for $86,000. I needed $10,000 more. I had $10,000 in my own pocket. I needed $10,000 more to buy it. It was renting for $800 a month, but I knew it could rent for like $14. We bought it for $86,000. We needed $20,000 to put down, so me and Bong, we partnered together on it. And we solved each other's problems. And that house ended up appraising for $120,000. We refinanced it at like $92,000, 80% of $120,000. And then it was renting for $1,400 a month within a year of us working on it. We used the extra money that we had now, and then we also borrowed some money from his dad to buy another house for $30,000. We stuck $30,000 into it, appraised for $120,000. We took out a loan for $80,000 on it. Bought the house next door, did the same thing. That's what we call the BRRRR method.
Yeah.
If any of you are followers of bigger pockets, buy, rehab, rent, refi, repeat.
Yep.
And then we just did that over and over and over
Yeah.
again. The second way is, and this is such nobody talks about this, but you can utilize 0% credit cards to liquidate their value to go ahead and purchase properties in cash, essentially.
Right.
The great thing about this is that if you can get qualified for a high enough amount on 0% interest rate credit cards, you can go to a company like Mondi Friend Capital is who I partner with, and they will liquidate all the funds on your credit card for a 6% fee. So essentially you can look at that as like, if I borrow $100,000, can I pay, is borrowing $100,000 worth paying $6,000 to get it?
Yeah.
So now I'm left with 94. Well, I know that most recent deal that I just did using this method, there's a house listed for $80,000. I knew the guy would take much less than that, but I knew it'd still appraise for $80,000. So I bought it for $60,000 using 0% interest credit card liquidation.
So they don't let you just swipe a card, right? When you're going to buy it, you
No,
can't just
you
take
can't
your
just
credit-
swipe the card. Yeah, I wish that would be a lot easier. Cut out
Like,
a
hey,
lot
you guys
of fees.
take credit.
So, and I can actually, for this podcast, I can give you guys the link for level funding.
Yeah, I've never
People
done
help me
that, so
do
that's interesting.
They'll help you with your credit score. They'll help you get ready to get approved for higher amounts on 0% interest fees. and then help you liquidate that with a place like Monte Capital or one of the other funding partners that they have. But I bought that property with $60,000 cash, essentially. I'm paying 0% interest on it, so I'm only paying down the principal. It's a 1% principal payment, so I pay $600 a month for the first year on that, and I've paid down $7,200 on the principal, right? No interest. So now that $60,000 has turned into $63,000 essentially, or $53,000. I can go to the bank now and finance it for 64 because it appraised for 80. So I'm gonna make 10 grand. I'll make my money back, and I'll make 10 grand on the refi, and then it's already renting for $800 a month. So I'm gonna make generally $150 a month in cash flow on that one.
Yeah,
I've
and
done that one a couple of times.
I know you talk refinance, and that's the part, because I've done a couple myself, so it's something I've done. So I'm tracking a lot with what you're saying. So I think on the refinance portion, now are you paying taxes on that money when you refi?
No.
So say you owe 60 and you refi and you get 80, so you get a check for $20,000 from the bank.
Yep.
Just because you increase the value. What's that 20,000? Is Uncle Sam coming and getting a cut out of that?
No,
or?
you don't pay taxes on debt. It's
Yeah.
debt. Yeah.
So that's I think that's your key there.
Yep.
You can get tax-free money. You can use other people's money or the bank's money to fix up the place, and then get more money from the bank, and
Here's
then
the-
have the tenants pay for it.
Yeah, here's the cool thing is if you're doing it correctly, and this is what I help my clients do, if you're doing it correctly, you shouldn't be paying taxes on any of your income with this process. Your rental income should be eaten up, your taxes or your net income should be eaten up by depreciation of the property.
Right.
And we can talk more about that later if that's more interesting. That's probably not the most interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But then the money that you're making on the refi, which I make between $4,000 and $5,000 on every refi that I do, because I'm only buying property 70% under value. I'm making 10% of the money back in the refi, right? 10% of the value.
Now, how long are you waiting to refi?
Oh, I can refi immediately.
Okay.
So if I bought one today, I can immediately go to the bank, and as soon as they're done with appraisal and everything, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Now, you have to know what that appraisal value is going to be before you purchase. Make sure you're doing it. That's where somebody like me comes in to help clients do that.
Yeah, you need to get someone that knows what, especially if, I would say if you're starting out, you would probably recommend to get a professional, like someone like yourself.
Yeah, somebody who has
Don't just go into
access-
it blind. Get somebody that knows what they're doing and has been through the process.
Yeah, you need somebody who has access to actual sale data. So in the state of Missouri, it's a non-disclosure state, which means that the only people that can look up actual sale prices are lenders, appraisers, and realtors.
Right.
So you need to partner with somebody that has access to that data.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can go and refinance. The funny thing is the last year or so that I've really been implementing this and been on my own, I've probably have $200,000 or $220,000 that are all from debt that my tenants are paying down, but it's money in my bank.
Right. So there's
Yeah.
good debt versus bad debt.
Right. Yeah. Debt's like fire, man.
Yeah.
Like I know that we have like the Dave Ramseys of the world that say all debt is bad, and then we
Yeah.
have like the Grant Cardones that say that you should 100% finance everything.
Yeah, he
And
wants $1 billion in debt, or he's probably over that now.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's over
But I'm somewhere in between that, and I say that debt's like fire. It can warm you, it can feed you, it can keep you safe,
Yeah.
or it can burn you real quick if you mismanage it.
I haven't heard that analogy, so that's good. That's a good one.
Out of all those methods you just mentioned, if you were a beginner, what's probably the one that most people overlook as a beginner? Or which route would you take if you were getting into it?
Well, I've got 4. So we have the Burr method. We talked about 0% credit card financing. We also have seller credits,
Okay.
and then we have debt service coverage ratio loans, or DSCR loans. So I would say that the seller credit is probably the easiest one. It's still going to be based on your income. You're still a personal guarantor, but you're still going to the bank through the loan process. But I just made an offer on one because I didn't have all the cash to buy this one immediately. I made another offer on a similar property for 80 grand. I know it's going to appraise for around 90.
Yeah.
But I asked the guy to credit me back $20,000 in the closing. Now, this comes with also having a good relationship with your bank and having a bank that some banks won't allow this, but my bank does. You just have to find the right bank. If one bank tells you that like they don't do that, and they say no banks do it,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. Go to another bank.
Creative financing is amazing.
Yeah.
You got to have a good lender.
So I bought that one for 80, but he credits me back 20. My down payment on 80 is 16,000. The bank's going to write me out a check for the remainder, which is $4,000 at closing.
Yeah.
That's essentially how that works. Now I got into that one. That one rents for $900 a month. We'll be closing on that one here soon, and I'm gonna make $250 a month on that in cash flow.
Yeah.
And I made $4,000 to buy. They paid me to buy it. How crazy is that?
No, that's awesome.
I guess my scenario was kind of similar too.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
yours.
you just had a really good
I-
one that
so,
you just worked out.
Yeah, I just got my first one, but bought it for 70, zero money down. I paid a $500 earnest check to the title company. The original appraisal was 155.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I put zero money down. The bank paid a construction loan for the full remodel. Okay, had it reappraised after 192. So I'm in it 110 or something like that. A little
Well,
over.
you're not in it. The bank's
No, the
technically
bank's in it. I'm in it. Zero money. The bank's in it. The bank's in it. That, but you know, you talk about cash not refinance. I mean, like, it's a good little chunk that you can do right there. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, so, but there is ways to get into. You just, like you said, I think it's very, very important to find a lender who will work with you, especially like.
Well, yeah,
know,
you need
around
a
here,
good
you
real
know.
estate professional in your pocket,
and
and
people
then
like Steven,
the
yeah.
banks. You know, I've went to banks. One banker told me no. You know, I've been told no more than once for sure.
We've been through that situation with
yeah.
you before.
Yeah. So
That's
they've
wild.
told me no, and then I go to another banker, and you're like, hey, here, you know, here's what I want to do. Here's my. You got to kind of have a plan. You can't just walk to a banker to say, hey, I want to buy this house, and I'm going to do, you know, $50,000. It's going to be worth $300,000. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I need you to lay that out for me.
Yeah.
So usually I go in with like a construction list. Like, here's what the repairs I plan to do. Here's what it's going to cost. You know, and then obviously we can do an estimated on what the a future appraisal will be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's worked out pretty well. You know, I don't think on real estate, unless you own I mean, you got to have a large portfolio to cash flow a bunch of money.
Yep.
Like life-changing money, you know.
Yep.
Like, you know, $200 a month's not going to make you rich, but it's nice.
Yep.
But a lot of people make their money on their refinances and just
Yeah.
compounding over time.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, in the four wealth builders of real estate, I'd say, like, even if I net zero, if I somehow miraculously net zero on a property for the next 27 years, I still made money through a couple of different things. Is we have the four wealth builders of real estate. One is the cash flow. That's the foundation, just like a house. You have to have cash flow to make sure that it operates. But even if it didn't have cash flow, you have appreciation. You're going to sell it for more than what you bought it for 20 years later. I mean,
Yeah,
the
for sure.
history's shown us that. Then you have interest write-off. If I have a loan on there and my tenant's paying my loan for me, I still get to write off the interest of that loan on my taxes. And then you have the roof of the house, which is depreciation. And depreciation is, hey, for every dollar that I have, I divide it by 27.5, and I can go ahead and write that off of my taxes. So for a $100,000 property, I divide that by 27.2 or 27.5, and I'm left with $5,200. $5,200 comes off my net income for the year just for owning the property.
Right.
So even if you don't make a lot of money on it, the tax benefits far outweigh almost any other
you
investment.
checking the
can
math
make.
on that, Israel?
Yeah.
Israel's over here. It's like, is that right?
Was I right on
I
that
can't do
one?
math
Was I
that
right?
fast.
But people watching this, that's
No.
like just normal, like that have never invested before. They're probably mind blown right now. They're like,
Yeah.
who would have known, right? I mean, so
Yeah.
I think this is all great.
There's
knowledge.
creative ways,
Yeah.
and I think real estate investing is important for everyone for long-term wealth building, but especially people like in spaces like us where you're like entrepreneurs, you're a 1099 contractor. You have to get creative on ways to reduce your taxable income.
Yeah.
And real estate is like, I would argue is the top way to do that. I mean, for sure,
absolutely.
because you have a bunch of losses that you didn't lose money because of depreciation. You're not actually losing money. The property's appreciating.
Yep.
So the property's gaining value, but you get to write off like you're losing value essentially.
Yeah.
So it's extremely creative, a way to get out of a massive tax liability. So
Yeah.
it's been great. I think. So I know obviously you've been a real estate guy for a while, so you wanted to touch on that a little bit and give people some nice little nuggets, but. Today, and I know you messaged me ahead of time, and you're like, "Hey, I've been doing real estate, but obviously, my life's gone in a little bit different direction." So, thank you for sharing some of the real estate stuff. But I want to touch on get outside of that a little bit. So, you've been doing, obviously, like I said, you've been doing the real estate for a while, but you're switching gears a little bit. And it seems like you're unplugging some. So, give us a little bit about. What the future looks like for you. What are you going into now? Like, are you staying in real estate? Are you not staying in real estate? Or what?
Very much still staying in real estate because it's the only way I know how to make money. But it's very different than it was before. I've been very involved for 10 years. I've been part of that hustle culture for the longest time. But I'm not Gary Vee. I'm not Grant Cardone. I'm not those guys that can just do it their entire life. I do believe that anybody, and this is advice for young entrepreneurs, is you have to admit to yourself what you're good at and what you're not so good at, what you suck at. And the first thing you need to do is to admit to yourself, what are you really not good at? I found out that I'm not good at managing a large team. I don't want to. I found out that I don't like the pressure of having W-2 employees because I don't like the feeling of my performance affecting how much food they put on their table every year.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Some people can handle it. Like you with this business right here and what you guys do, you have a different mindset than I do, Anthony. I couldn't do what you do here.
How did you find out that you didn't like it though?
I tried it out.
Yeah.
So that's my
That's
take.
the best way to do it.
That would be my takeaway from that. Is like you found out for yourself that you didn't like doing that, but you found out by trying.
Yeah.
So it's like you tried, and then you're like, okay, this isn't exactly what I want to do. So that I think would be the key takeaway. Like, don't do something because you think you won't like it.
Yeah.
You should probably try it out.
Yeah.
You know, if,
Try it out, but be focused on a certain niche. Like, I've been real estate my whole life. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of young guys that are like, oh, I want to do coding, and I want to trade crypto, and I want to own this business, and I want to, do this other thing, and I want to do real estate. And I don't think that there's any value in diversity, especially when you're younger. You have all the energy in the world. You feel like you can do it. Focus on one thing and get really good at it, and then figure out within that one thing what you're good at and what you aren't, and then start to hone in and funnel down what you really want to do. I think that winners lose more than losers. I've lost a whole lot. I've probably lost a ton more money than anybody's ever made. A lot of people have made, not anybody, but a lot of people have made. I've probably lost more than what you've made. But I learned lessons from that, and I took risks that have made me more money than what I've lost. But at the end of the day, I also tried to be a team lead. I also tried to run a business with multiple employees. And some people might look at that as me quitting or me failing, but yeah, like I did fail at it. But I also learned that that's not where I want my life to be.
Right.
And when I found out, this is kind of the change and the hinge of my last year's journey that you guys have followed. I've just been traveling the world and traveling the nation. I needed to find my rich. We're inundated with all this content that says, oh, you need to make $1 million, or you need to make $10 million a year, or here's how you can make $1 billion over your lifetime. Who cares? Can we curse on this? Who effing cares? How much money you make? I mean, are you trying to impress the Joneses, or are you just doing stuff to fulfill yourself?
Right.
Well, when I admitted to myself, I don't really need as much money as I've been making. I've been tearing my hair out. I've been losing my hair, by the way.
Hey, bro. Hey, look.
I think I got that.
I think this is our age, man.
And I said, hey, I'm going to Turkey this
pan
year.
over to
You
Isaac.
gonna get
He's
this? You
struggling.
gonna do it?
I'm going to Turkey this year. I'm going to come back with a head of hair as nice as his grandson.
Oh, hey, man, if I can get rid of this receding hairline,
No, I found out I found my rich. I didn't need to make as much money as I was stressing myself out to make. And I said, what's really important in life? Yeah. I've watched 3 really close people to me die over the last year. 3 of my grandparents, whom I was close to all of them, especially my dad's dad. I'm his only grandson with his last name out of hundreds of grandchildren that he has. And I was actually in the room with him at the nursing home when he took his final breath and he passed away. And that made me really think, out of all of the things we have in our wheel of life, we have our career, we have our health, we have our fitness, we have our money, our finances, our learning, we have our relationships, our family, and our friends. And 2 years ago, I would have filled out that wheel as like all of these being like number 10, like my career, my finances, my skills, those are all number 10. My family, the energy that I put into my friends and my relationships, probably a little bit less. And this is what I've learned, is that any amount of things can take away your health. You can influence your health as much as you want.
Yeah.
You can eat right, you can work out, but tomorrow you can get in a car accident.
Yeah.
Or you can be diagnosed with cancer in the next year. Anything can take that away. We don't have any control, really. Right. Anything can take away your finances. We can influence our finances by making healthy decisions, being stoic with our funds, but at the end of the day, the economy could crash. Another 2008-9 could happen. Or if you're a W-2 employee, you're never guaranteed a job. Your company could can you tomorrow, And when it comes to your career, that can change. Any of those things can change except your relationships. You have complete control over the relationships that you have. So why wouldn't I control all the things, being stoic, control the things you have control over, focus on those, and not worry about the things outside of that?
Right.
What's the most important thing? When I was sitting with my grandpa in that room and he took his final breath, my grandpa was one of my best friends. I grew up with my grandpa. I saw him almost every day. And when I saw him take his final breath, all of his kids were there with him with their hands on him. A lot of his grandkids were there in the room with him, and we all were there. And I said, do you think he was thinking about the big farm that he had or how much money he had in Apple stock in his last moments? No. He was thinking about how loved he was by the family that he created and the relationships, how good he was to people, that they would be there in his final days. So I said to myself, I'm only 32, but we have to face our mortality at some point. Yeah. We're not going to be here forever. This is a small blip in our existence. Our consciousness here is only a small fraction of what we should experience in everlasting life and our afterlife. I want it to be worth something to the people around me, not just myself. Yeah. So that changed my view on my career. I live my life to live my life. And once you kind of view the world through the lens of it being a playground and stop taking life so seriously, you're no longer so attached to the things that are keeping you confined, like your career, like, oh, I gotta stay here because it's the only way I know how to make money, or I have to live in this place, or I have to do this thing. Who's telling you to do any of that?
Yeah.
I think I've kind of broken the mold of what society tells us we have to do. Work 40 hours a week until you're 65. You're almost going to die, and you can retire finally.
Yeah,
and I
you're
said,
kind of
"Screw
conditioned.
that."
I mean, I feel like we're all conditioned to kind of fit that mold from a young age.
Very,
That's what our parents were taught. Our parents, hard work, come home, take care of your family, which you should do all of those things. I
Yep.
say, but those are the things that we've been conditioned to do throughout life. So that's kind of what all people know. They're like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. In reality, we kind of make. What was it? I think it was Timothy Chalamet. He was like, life doesn't come at you; it comes from you.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to like really that I kind of focus on. Like, life is coming from you. So you're always thinking like these things are happening to me, and it's like, well, no, it's your perception of life, your perception of what you think you need to be doing. You have outside pressures that you feel like you should listen to. When in reality, it's like you should control your own destiny and then go after what you feel is important. And then obviously you should pour into others and stuff too, but it's not always about just like what other people are saying and what people think and different things like that. And that's what we're taught. We're taught you should just work hard. You should save your money. You should always invest.
Yeah.
That's not always, people can give you those suggestions, but that's not always the answer. You don't need to, or you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So that's
And there's no
I like
right or
that.
wrong way to do it. Listen, if
Yeah.
you can put food in your belly, a roof over your head, you're not a burden on other people, and you can still provide value to the people that you love and care about, then why would you have to do anything else outside of that? Like, man, I've been couch hopping, for a lot of my journey across the nation because I've made a lot of friends across the nation I've been able to visit with. I've stayed in some really nice Airbnbs and hotels too, but I've gotten to spend more time with important people in my life that I don't get to see that often because we live 3,000 miles apart.
Right.
And that's been more rewarding to me than any amount of money I could have made. And the thing is that I've set up my business now in which I'm making less money than working it full time. But I am so much happier in the fact that it's more residual. I work maybe 2 hours a day on everything, and I'm able to go and do things that I never got to do before.
Right.
I don't think that a new car, like if I bought I really do want a Huracan at some point. Like I'd like to drive I've driven a Huracan STO. I'd really like to buy one at some point. But I don't think that the fulfillment a Huracan could give me would ever replace the excitement of cliff jumping in Switzerland could, or walking the Amalfi Coast in Italy, or experiencing what it's like to live in Bali for a little bit, or getting a hair transplant in Turkey.
I think life's more about the memories you make because at the end of the day, like you said, your grandpa, when he was passing away, he was probably thinking about all the memories he had with you guys and his kids. And, money's great, but money's not everything. You have to have it to live comfortably and help other people and do things. But at the end of the day, I think it's the memories you make. So take those trips, do those things with your family and your close friends, and make sure that that's always probably the forefront. I would say,
that's why I say find your rich.
Yeah.
Find your rich. Don't let somebody else tell you how much money you have to make.
Yep.
I could live pretty comfortably on like 80 grand a year right now.
Yeah.
Now, I make a
that's
little
awesome.
bit more than that, but 80 grand a year is like, how much more do I need? It's just me. I don't have any kids yet. Unfortunately, I don't have, a wife. I'm sure that once that time comes, my financial situation will change, but I've set myself up to make more money if I want to.
Yeah.
So,
And I would say while you have the so you're transitioning out of, not really transitioning out, but obviously you've put it to where you can only have to work a couple hours a day. So you're stepping back, I would say, a little bit. And I know your plans are well, you traveled. I've watched you over the last few months. You've hit a lot of places in the United States, and you're wanting to travel. You're going out of the country, right?
Yeah.
So where are you going? And then like, what are your why are you choosing the location you're going to? I guess.
So the first initial push to travel out of the country was I wanted to go walk the Camino. The Camino is the Way of St. James. It's a pilgrimage across northern Spain. It ends at the Santiago de Compostela in Santiago, Spain, on the
I
western
don't
side.
think I could even get that out if I try to say that.
But the route I'm going to walk is the Camino de Francis, which starts in the Saint Jean Pied de Port in France, and it's 490-mile walk all the way to Santiago. But you stay in hostel. It's not like a through hike. You walk you just take a backpack, as little as you can, and you're going to walk about 15 miles a day for 30 days, and you'll eventually make it there. But you stay in hostels every night. So that whole journey, that challenge, that ability to hey, do something completely different than my life has made me comfortable doing,
Yeah.
was really exciting to me. But then I was like, well, while I'm over there, I can go and do other stuff too. Like, there's nothing really keeping me here. I run my whole business from my computer now.
Yeah.
And I have people here that help me out with it. Like, I don't even have to sign my bank documents or my title work anymore because I have a designated signer on my LLC.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
he just goes and signs for me, and I kick him back a little bit of money for doing it.
Hey.
So
works.
yeah, and I was like, I want to go see the world. If I had one goal really in my life over the next couple of years, is that I want to see as much of the world as I can. Because I mean, who knows where our world's going to be in the next 5 years? I want
Yeah.
to see all the beautiful things that God created on this earth while I'm still here.
You know what's crazy? You talking about traveling. I wonder how many people, like for me, for example, like that live in the United States, that have never seen the most beautiful parts of the United States, like going out west and seeing the mountains and like all that stuff. Like we went to Utah. Utah was
That's
beautiful.
because those people
But-
are trapped.
but-
I feel like they're trapped in,
Yeah,
the, in
like
the rat race.
I've been up and down the United States. I've never been east or west, which is my fault. I mean, I choose to go travel.
Get
but
out there.
I choose to travel to Mexico or wherever else. But I've kind of made it a bucket list item after seeing you travel. Me and my wife were just talking like for Christmas. I think we want to go to like Wyoming with her whole family. We're just going to Wyoming.
That's awesome.
And so like we're gonna get an Airbnb, stay out there, and
It's
check it
beautiful
out.
up
But
there.
but honestly, watching you travel and then listen, like just hearing people talk, it's just like. There's so many places you can go and the memories you can capture and see. It's just like I want to experience that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. So
Something one of my mentors told me, Mike Malerba, he's a humongous real estate developer down in the Gulf.
Yeah.
But he grew up in the country music industry. Like he traveled all over. He traveled all over the world. He opened up for Elvis at the Grand Ole Opry before. Like he was played with the Mike Matthews Band. He played with Lee Greenwood was one of his best friends. Marty Stewart is still one of his best friends to this day. I mean, Mike's such a cool dude.
Dang.
He's 74 years old. And I said, Mike, what was your favorite part about your career? He goes, it's all the places I got to see and the people I got to meet.
Yeah.
He goes, the money, all the fame, like all of that stuff. He goes, that paled in comparison to like just being able to experience the world. And that's why I tell people, go and travel somewhere by yourself sometime. Like just go do it.
It's hard to do.
You're gonna,
I've it's because it's almost uncomfortable. I've been so used to because I have a wife and kids and stuff, and I'm so used to always being people there. And like even if I go to like a restaurant, sit down by myself and eat, like it's a weird feeling almost.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like
get
I'm just
that.
here by myself. In the car. So it would be very interesting to try because you're going alone, right, to Spain.
Yep.
How long do you plan on staying there? Do you have like a timeline, or is it just kind of off the cusp? Or
The Camino's going to take me 30 to 45 days. I'm going to take my time with it.
yeah,
And then I do plan on going to Switzerland. I plan on going through Ireland, Italy. I'm going to end up in Istanbul. And then I'm going to be living in Bali for a little bit.
Nice.
For a couple of months.
yeah. Did you have to budget all that out ahead of time, or are you just like, are you going to work while you're there, or is it just going to be
Yeah, I'll
from
still be making money.
your residuals from here? Or
remote.
Yeah, I'll still be buying properties while I'm gone.
okay, yeah.
So I'll have Jason Bain go by and check out properties for me.
Yeah.
Give me the inside scoop. But I can do pretty much all of my property analysis from anywhere.
Shout out Jason. He's helping out some of my properties.
Jason, there you go.
Shout out Jason.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, he's such a hard. Here's the thing that I learned about people I want to work with, though, is they don't have to know everything about what you do. They
Right.
just have to be willing to work hard, do what they say they're going to do, and be trustworthy.
Yeah.
That's all. Man, I'm sure you've learned that here.
Oh, yeah.
You can always teach them the job.
Yeah, for sure. So you're still in real estate, but let's say for whatever reason the real estate kind of goes away. For whatever reason, you're abroad. What would be? Is there something like if you're abroad and it fell like in your lap or you crossed paths with it? Would you have like another career path you would even entertain?
Photography.
Photography.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you gonna be like documenting your trip? I'm
Oh, yeah.
assuming you're gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
going live or taking
Yeah, I
pictures.
have a video editor that's going to help me out with shorts and stuff like that while I'm over
Yeah.
there. But I have a lot of huge social media influencer friends.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
one friend that travels the world. He's got over 100,000 on Instagram, and about 1 million on TikTok. I'm not going to plug you here, Nick, by the way.
That's what we do here. We're
Yeah.
plugging people
Yeah,
in for
yeah,
free.
yeah.
We're not gonna charge you. We'll plug your name in.
But and he's made a living out of that. I would really like to at some point. I've sold a few photos of mine already, but I just want to go take photos of cool stuff and document the journey and see where that gets me.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
And even if it made me much less money, I'd enjoy doing it.
Our guest last week, James. You know James Paul,
Paul?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on. So he used to travel, and do like hunting shoots
Yep.
and
Yeah.
videography and stuff like that.
Yeah, he still does that. He's
so
really
he would
good
probably
at
be
it.
someone good to, I don't know if you talk to him regularly or
Oh, I'm
not,
good friends
but-
with James.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he would be a good contact on, obviously how to set that up, and
Yep.
he takes some beautiful. I think he's taking pictures of some real estate for you, probably, right?
So any good real estate photos around here are done by his company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
He did some for me. I know on some
He
properties.
kind of
listed of
downplayed
mine.
that.
I know.
He really did.
Yeah,
he downplayed.
he
He's
was-
like, I kind of do it.
His are the best.
Yeah, he's
Um,
done a house that I sold in Benton. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was really good. How would you say meeting people and experiencing like different cultures would influence the way that maybe you define success after seeing like other cultures while you traveling the world? Like,
Because you've already
You
been
know,
some.
I mean, you've been a lot of
You've been
places.
abroad a couple times. I know.
Yeah.
We've talked before.
Yeah, I mean, heck, that's a good question. You know, I have absolutely changed my mindset about life here. You know, I still base my values in the Christian Bible and in what the God of the Bible
Right.
has laid out for us, the laws that are written on our heart.
Yeah.
I still base my core fundamental values there, but how they're implemented throughout our life, I've learned can be so different. I've met plenty of people who are so happy with where they're at that are living in poverty.
Right.
And I've met people who are miserable that are making $1 million a month or $1 million a week. I mean, I've met some really wealthy people that don't live good lives. I mean, we know some of them here in this town too
Yeah.
that don't have good marriages. Their kids don't talk to them. And so you kind of learn that money isn't necessarily anything that does anything for you except magnify who you already are.
Right.
If you already have a bad foundation under you, well, the money is only going to make that worse. It's only going to sit on top of a cracked foundation and fall apart.
Right.
So if I've learned anything, it's that there's no right or wrong way. I kind of touched on this earlier. There's no right or wrong way to live life as long as you're fulfilling yourself and your needs, putting food in your belly, a roof over your head, and you're being good to the people around you. That's the most important thing. And people can sense that. You know, I think that one of the number one things I've learned about going and traveling to places in which nobody knows me from Adam,
Yeah.
and it's kind of relieving because you guys know as well as I do that when you go out in Cape Girardeau,
Yeah.
everybody knows who you are. And I can't
Yeah.
go into a restaurant without seeing, which I love, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing people that know me that I can go up and talk to for a few minutes, go sit down and eat. Or being at the coffee shop, somebody comes up, you know, Dr. Becking always comes, he's like, what's
Yeah.
going on, brother? Sit down with me for 30 minutes and talk. I love that. But there is something freeing about knowing that you're going to go into a community where nobody knows you and nobody has any reason to know you. They don't know what your reputation is. They don't have any pre-biases of you.
Yeah.
And they're just meeting you.
You're just a person to them. Just
And that's
another
like,
human.
people always ask me, like, well, what do you do? And on my travels, this is my answers. I go, well, I'm unemployed and homeless. That's what I tell people now. And it's kind of funny, but I think that's a question we get asked all the time is, what do you do? Like, somebody asks you that, Anthony, what do you say? What do you do?
Yeah, I own a roofing company. You know, I'm a father. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not you, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. That's just something that I do. It's just
Yeah.
to
That's
put food
what
on the
his
table.
title. That's just how he's titled.
That's just the
you know,
role.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the role that you're playing right now.
yeah.
So if travel's taught me anything is that who am I really? When I don't have the mask of my career or my reputation to hide behind, who really comes out?
And that's tough to, you know, because when you like explore like your inner self and you ask, because if I ask myself that question, because I have, that's a tough question to answer
Deep.
sometimes.
That's getting
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah, it's really,
Vulnerability too.
yeah,
You
no,
gotta be
that's a really hard thing to even answer
Yeah.
for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, other people tell you who you are, you know,
Yeah.
but like, who am I really? That's
Because at the end of the
that's
day,
something you would have to explore, and I think maybe, you know, traveling like that maybe helps you do that.
yeah, and it does, and I think it would help anybody. Because at the end of the day, like when you're in your community, you have your reputation built. It's built on your career. People know you as your career, right? But what happens if that career's taken away? Who's left over? I always ask myself that question, and travel has helped me answer this. Is now I get to meet people and they have no idea who I am. They're just getting to know Steven.
Yeah.
They don't care what I do because that's all back in Cape Girardeau. They don't care that I'm a real estate agent, that I invest in real estate. They don't care about my career. You know, the festival that I just came from up in Lost Lands.
Yeah, that looked awesome.
Nobody talks about
was
jobs
awesome.
up there. Nobody talks about money. They just want to know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's a much different conversation. Like, well, man, I love photography. I have a passion in the beauty of this world. I really love music. Like, this is some of the music that I like. Like, and then you just get into a conversation that's much different than you will in a community in which you already have a reputation or a career built in.
Right.
Yeah, just like even this podcast, you know, we're saying,
Yeah.
oh, what about real estate? Because we know, you know, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So like getting to you on a deeper level, you know, it's kind of nice. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't ask those type of questions, because we're conditioned to be like, what do you? That's one of the first questions anybody ever asks.
Yep.
What do you do?
Shake their hand. Who are you? What do you do? What do you do for work?
Yeah.
It's like, well, are you going to measure who I am as a person just because of if I make a lot of money or not? Like that
Right.
shouldn't be. You know, do you help people? How about that? Like, are you out there helping people? Are you a nice person?
Yep.
Are you good to people? Those are the things I think that are far more important than your banking account.
Yeah.
Like I like having money, and it does afford me certain things, like that I can do for my family. And I've always had that pressure, to do well and succeed and give my kids a life that I never had, and I'm still going to do that. But I think it's very important to find out who you are as a person and just try to be a good person overall.
Yeah.
Give back, help people, and that's super important.
One thing I find interesting in the last 3 guests now, including him, that they've all said is their faith. That's crazy to me. I mean, that's awesome though. I mean, because like that's very important in that. So I find that interesting for sure. I mean, it's a good thing.
I think you have to be bold in your faith.
Yeah.
And I think we're all obligated to do that too.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you believe, honestly, I don't care if you believe in the God of the Bible or if you believe in something else, but it does show a lot about your character that you're bold in what you believe in,
Yeah.
and that you don't shy away from it. I believe in the Christian God. I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And I don't shove that down people's throats like, dude, I just came from an EDM concert, EDM festival.
Yeah.
I'm not.
If they knew what went on there,
I'm not sitting. I'm not sitting down on people's throats telling them about Jesus. But I do want to enact the way that Jesus would when he's in those situations. Jesus ate with tax collectors and prostitutes, and hung out with who the Romans and the rest of the Jews thought weren't good people.
right?
He put himself in those positions, but I think one of my favorite stories about Jesus was when the rich young man came to him and he says, "What do I have to do to follow you?" And he says, "Sell all of your things, give it to the needy, and you can follow me." And the rich young man walked away sad. And Jesus then turned to the crowd, and everybody gets this verse wrong, as he said, "It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven." He wasn't talking about it's bad to be wealthy. He was talking about when given the opportunity to give up everything to follow me, you should put me first.
Yeah.
But he didn't go chase after that boy and say, "No, I'm the greatest thing you could ever have." He turned to the crowd and he gave them a lesson. Our faith should be the same way. We should love people the same way. I'm not chasing after you telling you that you need to follow Jesus, but I'm living a lifestyle in which can be an example for you to say, well, maybe I want to live what he's doing. I want to figure it out. That's why I put myself in situations with people that I know aren't Christians, because I want to live a lifestyle in front of them that makes them curious.
Yeah.
We can't save anybody. We can plant seeds, and we can pray for those seeds to be grown.
Especially traveling the world, I feel
yeah,
like, because
dude.
there's so many different faiths out there and religions and viewpoints that are far different from our Christian faith.
For sure.
So that'll be interesting. When you travel, are you seeing? Are you running into that to where people are like, well, no, we don't believe in Christianity. We believe
yeah,
in
plenty of
whatever.
times.
We have our sun god and whatever else.
When I've traveled, I was in St. Augustine, Florida, and there was Christian Buddhist monks there, which is a little weird. I didn't really understand what they believed, but I know they didn't believe in my Jesus of the Bible.
Yeah.
And we had a great conversation. And I was able to.
Isn't it weird you can have a conversation with somebody and agree on different things?
Yeah, who knew that
and-
disagreement didn't equal hate?
Right,
It just
yeah.
means disagreement.
Wow,
For
we're
sure, yeah.
human. That's crazy.
I think that shows someone, if you have people that are truly
I don't know if you know where I was going
mature.
with that.
I know.
Yeah. I wasn't going to get into all that.
I wasn't either, but I'm just saying.
But that shows a certain level of maturity
yeah.
when you're able to sit across from someone that has a different viewpoint from you and not show hate, show understanding,
Yeah.
or not even understanding, just acceptance for maybe their viewpoint.
Yeah,
And I feel like
you're
that's
gonna learn
super
something
important.
too. You'll
Yeah.
both learn something. So this is what one of my people that I looked up to for longest time said. Is he said, "Stand firm in your belief, but be open-minded to understand where other people are coming from."
Yeah, super
I
important.
think we all know who said that just recently. But the girl that I'm seeing down in Nashville, we have completely different views on a lot of social issues and even religion and stuff, but we have great conversations about why we believe in those things. And I've told her plenty of times, I said, "I've learned so much from you."
That's awesome.
Now she's not going to change my faith, and I might not change hers, but we've learned so much from each other. We've grown as people.
Yeah.
That's how it should be,
And that's
right?
what it should be. That's the whole point of,
Yeah.
life.
No,
You know,
I agree.
I mean, like, just you don't have to agree with everybody. It's okay to agree to disagree, but
Well, going back to some of the travel stuff. So what would your advice be for a young entrepreneur or just somebody working a 9 to 5? They're feeling tied down. They're dreaming of maybe traveling. What would your advice be to them? How to transition from, because you can feel stuck. Because you get your job, you have your bills, you got whatever, you can feel stuck. So what would your advice be to someone that wants to break away from that, or they dream of going and seeing Spain? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of young kids that I've mentored along the way who are so distracted by shiny object syndrome. And my number one piece of advice to them is that while you have all this energy, and it's okay to trade your time for money at a job, but use your extra time since you're filled with energy. We know that we don't get up as easy anymore, but trade that time for learning a new skill. Go and work for somebody for free. Go learn a new skill, but focus in on one thing, a meta skill that you can go ahead and extrapolate into the rest of your life. As you get older, like as we get into our 30s or 40s or whatever, now you can use those skills to finally figure out how to make you money in a passive way. You know, for me, that was real estate. For other people, that's investing in crypto. For other people, that's learning how to play the market. For other people, that's owning a business like what you have here. I imagine one day, Anthony, you want to go ahead and be able to step a little bit further away from this and let it run itself.
And I already have, I've been slowly doing that. And that's how this podcast came about because I don't like idle hands. So, I got to where it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing a lot of this day-to-day stuff anymore. What can I do to bring value?
Yeah.
And that's where the podcast came about. I was like, okay, well, I almost feel called to do this and to bring other, young entrepreneurs or old, whoever, it doesn't matter the age, but to bring other people on so they can share their story and promote their business or, in your case, just life in general. And we love, I'm here working. I'm not going to be traveling the world anytime soon because I have a family. And
You got the little ones.
if I do, I'll bring them with me.
Yep.
But it's always interesting to see different perspectives and show that it's not all about just working and hustling all the time. Sometimes you need to chase your passion.
Yeah.
And see the world. And I think the 20 to 30 range is super important for people to not just waste it laying around.
Yeah.
It's fine to relax a little bit, but that's time you should be focusing on. Not necessarily just career, but that's an important time to travel. If you get a little bit of money and you have the ability to travel at all, I would say do it.
Yeah.
I've always been, I made decent money all throughout my 20s because I went to college. I followed the traditional route because that's all I knew. But I also spent a lot of that money chasing experiences.
Yeah.
And I will say that proudly. I was blowing a lot of money. And anytime I had extra money, I'm like, I'm going to go to that concert.
Can always make
I'm going to
more
go to
money.
this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go skydiving. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the stuff you should take advantage of that. And do it when
And in
you
your
have the
20s,
opportunity.
like I say, find a skill that's going to extrapolate across the rest of your life. I'm 30. Everybody's afraid of your 30s, like the dirty 30.
Yeah.
Everybody's afraid of your 30s. I'm having the best time of my life now because I set myself up to do so in my 30s. And then in my 40s, I'm going to be able to enjoy even more.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
What looking back on your your career, what's probably one of your most proudest moments that you've had?
Proudest moments, I would say being in a position for me to provide for the people around me now, and still go off and do what I want to do in a very passive way and see the things I want to see. This last year has been one of the proudest moments of my career. Because I'm not focused anymore on the career and the money. I'm focused on outwardly on the people in my life.
Yeah.
And that's the most exciting thing for me. I have new nieces and nephews in my family. I have new cousins in my family's new kids, and I get to experience their life with them. I get to spend time with people that I love.
Yeah.
That's the proudest parts of my life so far.
Yeah, that's
That's
amazing.
awesome. So if you had like, we're kind of going to get to where we're going to start wrapping it up a little bit. I appreciate all the questions so far or all the answers. But if you had like one kind of takeaway for the listeners out there, the people on live, the people be tuning in and watching this, what's like a message, like a key? I know these are kind of hard, on the spot, but what's like
I'm
a key,
thinking-
like Stephen Schott, I have this that I want to spread to the world.
Yeah, I would say my message to anybody out there, I've been in times in my life where I thought it could never get better, and it always does. You're unique to this world, and I know that the whole YouTube world and TikTok world makes you think that you have to do something big in order to make a difference, but you don't. Big or small, whatever you do in the world is unique to you, and only you can do it. So keep on going and hold on. There's always the next day, and every day is a new opportunity to start over again. So it's never too late to start.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's beautiful. No, that's beautiful.
Well, Stephen, for those who want to follow you, where can they connect with you, social media wise?
Facebook and Instagram, The Real Stephen Schott.
Okay.
You can email me at capecatalystbiz@gmail.com. And that's the best way to get in touch with me. Probably through Instagram is the best.
Yeah. Send you a DM.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome. Well, I want to take this time to thank you for one, obviously coming on to Roof Talk and talking with us today. I'm sure our listeners are going to take a lot away from this, so it's been really awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you as a friend, as well. We've known each other for a while, and I love the journey that you're going on, and it's just awesome to watch. I see you kind of stepping outside of the shell and opening up more. Because we're in a small community, you know,
Yeah.
so it's a little tough here sometimes, you know, to be you.
Yeah.
So I like seeing that, and it's something I want to, you know. Obviously, I've done some traveling, but I want to go to Spain. You know, I want to go see the Eiffel Tower. I want to go.
You guys come with me.
So it's like, you know, I have commitments now with my family and stuff, and maybe I should have traveled sooner. But I know that, thankfully, through my business, and I'm working toward that again.
Yeah.
Because that's my, you know, that's my goals too. Is I'm working toward having more freedom. You know, money's great, but it can help buy you freedom and stuff too. And I want that for myself and my family. So I love watching that, and I'm interested to see all the places you go.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, everybody will tune in and watch too, so they can get inspired. You know, to step outside of their 9 to 5, go see the world a little bit, because you only have, you know, unless you believe in reincarnation, which, you know, everybody has their different viewpoints. But this particular life, you have this one kind of go at it.
Yeah.
And I feel like you should make the best of it and,
Yeah,
and
go
do the
live life.
most things.
Yeah.
Go live life. Take chances. You know, make mistakes and learn from them. I mean, go and see the world too. That's
Yeah.
going to change your life.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's been super inspiring, you know, hearing from you today. So I want to take a moment to thank all of our listeners at home for, you know, tuning in. Like and subscribe to the YouTube page, obviously. And thank you to the guys on live. Yeah.
Turn those
Hit that-
notifications on.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to try to, I mean, we're going to stick to it. You know, we're going to
Yeah.
go live every Thursday. We're going to bring on special guests. I know.
Gosh, we got the whole list through the rest of the year. We're
Yeah.
like,
Yep. Next week, we're going to bring on another good buddy of ours, Johnny Porzo.
Yeah.
I struggle with his last name,
Yeah.
but he's another entrepreneur. You know, he owns UFO fencing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a local company, so that's.
I was hoping he wouldn't ask me again because I forgot to look at the list.
Yeah, last week I was like,
Last week he's like, who are we
who are we bringing on? He's
I
like,
didn't look at the list.
where's the list at? Come on, Grant. We got to know these things.
yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be excited to bring him on, give another perspective on, you know, business and obviously business because we're in business, but also just kind of life in general. So.
And I think this is great because I think the last two's been kind of business focused, and
Yeah.
this was, but it's really getting to dive in to know you and just following your journey, man.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you came on. So thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. No, thanks for having me on. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So thank you guys,
Thanks,
and we'll
guys.
see you next time.